Reading from the material here, views from the real world. Pages 221 to 227. When we say, remember yourself, we mean yourself. But we ourselves, my I, are my feelings, my body, and my sensations. I myself am not my mind, not my thought. Our mind is not us. It's merely a small part of us. It's true that this part has a connection with us, but only a small connection. And so very little material is allotted to it by our organization. If our body and feelings receive for their existence the necessary energy and various elements in the proportion of, say, 20 parts, our mind receives only 1 part. Our attention is the product evolved from these elements, this material. Our separate parts have different attention. Its duration and its power are proportionate to the material received. The part which receives more material has more attention. Since our mind is fed by less material, its attention, that is, its memory, is short, and it is effective only as long as the material for it lasts. Indeed, if we wish, and continue to wish, to remember ourselves only with our mind, we shall be unable to remember ourselves longer than our material allows. No matter how much we may dream about it, no matter how much we may wish it or what measures we may take, when this material is spent, our attention vanishes. Looking quickly here, prologue of the 3rd series. Page 19 of the 3rd series. Judging by my fitness during the last few days, it seems I have come to life and willy-nilly will have to drag on and drudge as before. My God! Is it possible that I will have to experience again all that I lived through during periods of my fully collected active state for the half year before this last misfortune of mine? Not only to experience feelings alternating almost regularly between remorse for the inner and outer manifestations of my ordinary waking state and loneliness, disappointment, satiety, and the rest, but primarily to be everywhere haunted by the fear of inner emptiness. What also have I not done? What resources have I not exhausted in my determination to reach a state where the functioning of my psyche in my usual waking state would flow in accordance with the previous instructions of my consciousness, but all in vain. And skipping down here. In spite of all of my desires and endeavors, I could not succeed in remembering myself in the process of my general common life with others. so as to be able to manifest myself not according to my nature, the nature of the beast, but according to the previous instructions of my collected consciousness. I could not attain the state of remembering myself, even sufficiently to hinder the associations flowing in me automatically from certain undesirable hereditary factors of my nature. As soon as the accumulation of energy which enabled me to be in an active state was exhausted, at once associations of both thoughts and feelings began to flow in the direction of objects diametrically opposite to the ideals of my consciousness, my higher consciousness. When I found myself in a state of complete dissatisfaction with food and sex, the leading factor of these associations of mine appeared to be primarily vindictiveness. And in a state of full satisfaction, they proceeded on a theme of the forthcoming pleasure of a meal and sex, or of the gratification of self-love, vanity, pride, jealousy, and other passions. I thought deeply myself and tried to find out from others about the reasons for such a terrible situation within my inner world, but could not clarify anything at all. From one side, it is clear that it is necessary to remember myself during the process of ordinary life. Also, and from the other side, that there is a necessity for the presence of attentiveness, which is able to merge in case of contact with others in the midst and conditions of ordinary life. All right. And the practice, or that is the exercise introduced by Gurdjieff of division of attention between our breathing and what is in the head. Division of attention on breathing and what is in the head. And this is a preparation for a real I. In the words of Gurdjieff himself, for me personally, I feel very strongly that I am. I feel that I am 10 times stronger. My I takes in food more intensely, but for you, at the present moment, do not do this exercise in order to be stronger. For you, this exercise is preparation to have an I, a sense of real I, so that you should actively meditate the two sources from which this I can arise. For me, it gives food to my I. It makes it stronger. So now that I am not a tail of a donkey, I am. Now, in chapter 3 of Beelzebub's Tales, there is discussion of what are called trans spaceships. And that In earlier times, these trans spaceships were so complicated and cumbersome that it took almost half their power to carry the materials needed to elaborate the energy for their locomotion. And then there was Saint Phenoma in chapter 4, Law of Falling. Anyway, all of these, the discussion here in Beelzebub's Tales of these earlier ships, there seems to be a correspondence here to the idea of preparation. That all work is for preparation, for real I. And then later came the design of the ship of the ArchAngel Heriton. Well, obviously, there seems to be a correspondence here to the idea of real I, that the design of the ship changes. And so the process of division of attention between breathing and what arises in the head, it becomes a process of food for I. Whereas in the other ships, the earlier ships, which were more cumbersome, all of that seems to correspond with the idea of preparation for I. And the ship of real I, which is now in use everywhere, which, as it says here in Beelzebub's Tales, the whole of this great invention of the ArchAngel Heriton consists of a single cylinder shaped like an ordinary barrel. The secret of this cylinder lies in the disposition of the materials of which its inner walls are composed. These materials are isolated from each other by means of amber, and owing to their arrangement in a certain order, have the property of acting on any cosmic gaseous substance entering the space they enclose, whether atmosphere, air, ether, or any other combination of homogeneous cosmic elements, causing it immediately to expand within the cylinder. And the bottom of this cylinder barrel is hermetically sealed, but the lid, although it can also be tightly closed, is hinged in such a way that on pressure from within it opens and then shuts again. So, your right reverence, if this cylinder barrel is filled with atmosphere, air, or any other such substance, the action of its walls causes these substances to expand to such an extent that the interior becomes too small to hold them. Striving to find an outlet from this constricted interior, they naturally press against the lid of the cylinder barrel, which opens on its hinges and allows these expanded substances to escape, and then immediately closes again. Since in general nature abhors a vacuum. As soon as the expanded gaseous substances are released, the cylinder barrel is again filled up with fresh substances from outside, and they in their turn undergo the same process, and so on without end. Thus the substances are always being changed, and the lid of the cylinder barrel alternately opens and shuts. Fixed to the lid is a very simple lever operated by the movement of the lid, which sets in motion some also very simple cogwheels, and these in turn revolve fans attached to the sides and stern of the ship itself. Thus, Your Right Reverence, in spaces where there is no resistance, contemporary ships like ours simply fall toward the nearest stability, but where there are any cosmic substances that offer resistance, it is these substances, no matter what their density, that are acted upon by the cylinder and enable the ship to move in any desired direction. It is interesting to note that the denser the substance is in any given part of the universe, the better the charging and discharging of the cylinder barrel proceed, and in consequence, of course, the rate of movement of the levers is accelerated. These ships of the Archangel Heriton, the ships of real I, have the advantage that in atmosphereless spaces they can be given an impetus in any direction and can fall wherever intended without the complicated manipulations necessary in ships of the system of St. Venoma. The ships of the system of St. Venoma is the work of preparation. Preparation for real I.